really excited for our next guest, and without spoiling the surprise, I'll have her introduce herself.
Hey, I'm Erin Stoll. I am a singer-songwriter from Nashville, Tennessee, originally from Ohio. I can't forget about my Ohio people. um, I have music streaming on all platforms, so Spotify, iTunes, everywhere. You can find all of my original music out there. And my social media, my website is erinstoll.com, and social media is Erin Stoll Music, most places except for Instagram is Erin Stoll Official.
Oh, so you're on the same page as me, trying to get everything organized into like one place.
Yeah.
Never easy, is it?
It's not. And then if you change it on one, you have to change it everywhere else. It's interesting, but yes.
That's the social media world we live in, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the podcast. I'm super excited to have you here.
Me.
Now, when you say you're an artist, share with our listeners, what is your genre? What is your jam? What do you rock out to?
I am country rock, southern rock. So I always tell people I'm a little country, a whole lot of rock and roll.
Okay. So even for my own knowledge, what is the difference between like country rock, alt rock? Like give us an idea of, what like country rock really means.
Well, everyone has a different opinion as to what country is. So, but country rock, southern rock is a mixture of, I would say, traditional country with a little rock and roll. So think like, Greta Van Fleet. That's somebody that I would consider southern rock. Country rock. Also, Creed Fisher would be country rock. So think that kind of genre.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. So I was so excited to meet you at the Joe Diffie Classic. As our listeners will hear, I met Brett Emmers at the Joe Diffie Classic. I met Erin at the Joe Diffie Classic. It was a really cool experience, and it was a really great opportunity for people from all different walks of life to celebrate the life of such a great country musician. How did you get involved with the Joe Diffie Classic?
So I was a celebrity golfer, if you can call me a celebrity, I guess. Sorry for the people that golfed with me that day because I golfed terribly. Anyway, I'm kind of connected in the industry. There's a promoter that I know of that had asked me to be a celebrity golfer that day. So I happened to be free that day and things just aligned and the stars aligned and I was able to go and golf and meet new people and just support the cause.
Yeah, the cause was, celebrating Joe Diffie. And, I actually know one of Joe Diffie's sons. And it was so interesting because I hadn't been back to Tennessee for a long time. And I got to see like my college teammates that I played baseball with. And some of them I hadn't seen for forever. And so it was a really unique opportunity for me to connect with them, but, also kind of network in a space where, there's a lot of like up and coming musicians. There's a lot of, celebrities, if you will, that were at this tournament. And, that was one of the reasons why I was really excited about the opportunity to go out there. Is I knew I was going to meet some really cool people. And, when I ran into you, we started, chatting it was like towards the end of the tournament. It was so cool to like hear your story. And, I know that I don't want to call you a starving artist, but I know that, a lot of people take that risk to go out to Tennessee and, with the hopes and dreams of, really making it in the music industry. Now, before we dive into like the nuances and, what you're currently experiencing, can you give our listeners kind of the background story of, how you got into the music industry and, where you're from and how you ended up in Nashville?
Sure. So I am originally from Northeast Ohio, a little town called Wadsworth, lived in Lodi, which was like the next town over for most of my married life. And, I've been singing ever since I was a little girl. So ever since I was 9 years old, I've always known I was going to do music, performance, all of that. I always told my parents that too. They thought I was crazy. Didn't pick up my first guitar till I was about 20, but did music and musicals and all that stuff all through high school. And a little bit after high school, did all the talent searches, X Factor, American Idol, all that fun stuff. But didn't pick up my first guitar till I was 20. That's what I wanted for my birthday. And that's when I started writing music. And I was in some bands here and there throughout the years, some jam bands, some rock and roll cover bands. until about 2015. I decided I was going to go and do my own thing. And so I had met a producer that he had found me on YouTube, I think is what it was. And he was like, I think you should record an EP. So I came down to Nashville in 2016, got that recorded, released my own music. And it's kind of just, my career's kind of budded since there. Since then, I did work full time through most of the years while doing my music, but until about 3 years ago is when I really went 110% into the music and really pushed it. And, I've actually did 2 tours back to back, like last year and the year before. I think last year we did over 100 and some odd shows. So, that's just like a quick overview of what I've done over the years. But really what pushed me to go all in was I lost my job about 3 years ago. I've never been let go from a job before, ever in my whole entire life. I've always been very loyal, so it was new territory for me, but that I felt like that was God saying to me, you know what, you need to take this music and you need to shine your light and go in 110%. So that's what I've done. Full time for the last 3 years, professionally for 10, but yeah.
That's amazing. Well, and that's where I switching it up a little bit for our listeners. I was telling Erin this, that we're going to move the story of your rise and go to the beginning of this podcast, because I really want our listeners to understand, you mentioned it a little bit, you lost your job. It gave you an opportunity to take this risk, but let's chat more about your rise and go, meaning like rising above, moving forward, taking action. What was that first step? What was that first thought where it was like, oh shit, it's happening. This is going down. How did you navigate through that and, get to where you are today?
So in the music industry, there's a lot of disappointment. There's a lot of rejection. And I've had a lot of that over the years for sure. But it's just all about, yes, rising and going and just keeping the faith and having the strength to keep moving forward. Yeah, I lost my job, but I was like, you know what, now I can focus completely on this music. And that was my sign to just go all in. And just trusting that God has my next steps and all my next steps in line. And even if I can't see the whole path, I just keep going. And there's been a lot that has happened over the years too, that have happened to me even down here in Nashville that made me want to give up. One of those being I had come down here with a promoter. This is before I moved to Nashville. I came down here with a promoter, and he had promised all these things, all these meetings with these record label executives and all these big things. And that was in 2017. And, I was kind of naive then, I would say. I'm a lot smarter now because of the things that I've been through. But I was almost abducted by him here. Oh, no. So, yeah. I've talked about it before on social media. I've kind of just talked more about it recently than I was able to earlier on, because I've dealt with it, but that really made me want to just quit, because I had a problem trusting people after that. So I was smart enough to get out of the situation while I was down here, and I was able to make it home and without being trafficked was basically what was happening. And I knew it was happening as soon as we got down here. And I was with him, my husband and I, we knew him, we knew his wife, we knew his family. So it was somebody I didn't think would ever do that. So that really made me want to stop doing music. And I did take a break for a little while. I knew that it wasn't the end. I knew that the music would always be there, but I knew I needed to take a step back to reevaluate where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do with my music. But things like that happen here all the time. And that's just an example of something that could have kept me down. But I, found the strength, and I kept going, and here I am. I'm still going.
Well, and to me, that sounds like, that's a perfectly legitimate reason. Like, you lose the trust in not only people, but in the industry of being able to go where you really want to. And so when you think about picking yourself back up and getting back out there, what did you set forth for yourself to be able to like trust people again, to trust the industry, to, again, kind of like rise and go from, where you started there?
So you froze a little bit, but I think I know what you asked me.
Oh, I hope
If you
so.
want,
We'll see. Go ahead.
um, I just really, now know that I need to trust my gut. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. Um, there's a lot of people in this industry who will use you to get ahead, and you just have to be diligent and aware. And like I said, if it doesn't feel right, if your gut's telling you like something's not right here, it's not right. So you shouldn't do it, or you shouldn't trust that person. So I've definitely learned who I can trust and who I shouldn't trust. I have been able to identify the red flags, all of that. So I'm smarter now.
Yeah. And have you used that knowledge to like help other musicians or other women in this space? Because I feel like that's an area where you can impart that knowledge of what you went through to help, others, going through your same journey, feel safer and more protected in the industry.
For sure. I've definitely, if you see something, say something. So I will always say something if I feel like, I know another female artist is possibly being used, or, something's not right. I will always say something, and they can think whatever they want of me, but that's me trying to protect them. Um, I've written 2 new songs also that I'm recording right now. I'm excited about that. Hopefully will help um, women in the industry that are going through this, because a lot of us go through that kind of stuff here, especially here in Nashville. And it is hard being a woman here in Nashville, especially the younger ones. When you're, in your early 20s, you're definitely more naive. If I would have come down here in my early 20s, I never would have made it. I probably would have been swallowed up because I was so naive. So if I can help other female artists, I've done my job. Absolutely. So I try to share my knowledge where I can. And if I see something, I say something.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like you have a solid base too. You have your husband, you have your family there as well. So it sounds like you have a good support system
Oh,
behind
yeah.
you as well.
Oh,
Can you
yeah.
share how important they've been in your journey to where you're at?
I'll try not to get emotional. This is when I get really emotional.
It's all right.
Because this has not been easy. This has not been easy on any of them. So we moved down here to Nashville about a year ago. So I've been coming down here off and on for years to do my music, to record, to release music. My musicians are all down here. So finally, my husband was like, all right, your music has really taken off. We need to probably make a move finally. So they have had to sacrifice a lot. My kids, so my oldest is 19. So he decided he wanted to stay in Ohio. So try not to get emotional. So we moved down here without him. He's big boy, has a big boy job. He's very, I'm so proud of him, but he's always been super supportive of my music and of what I'm doing here. And he gets it. So, he had to sacrifice, us leaving him up there. Um, my kids, my other kids, my 16-year-old and my 11-year-old, they had to leave all their friends behind and family behind. So they, had to sacrifice that, but they support what I'm doing, and they know, the purpose that God has placed on me is important. And my husband obviously had to sacrifice so much too. He's the one who works full time to pay the bills, because let's just be real, music doesn't pay the bills where I'm at right now. So he's super supportive in that, and that's why we're here, for me to do my music and to shine my light. He had a very successful tree company back up in Ohio. So that was something that he sacrificed moving down here. So he sold everything. He sold everything off, and, he's down here contract climbing, doing tree work, and a couple other things, a couple other ventures that he's starting so that he can support this dream of mine. But it's our dream.
I absolutely love it. And I feel like, my fiance would probably say, like, when you're chasing something that you wholeheartedly believe in and that that's what you're supposed to be doing, you're going to have to make sacrifices. And those sacrifices can be really hard. And, when I think about it, for me, like most of the time it's just financially, and I sacrifice a lot of time. where it's like, I'm spending money trying to grow the brand, but I'm working a job. I'm coaching baseball. I'm running Elevant. And so, I feel like it's sometimes when we're chasing our dreams, it's our loved ones who, really have to be on board and be our backbone in that area.
1000%.
But like I wanted to ask that question because I think it's so important to understand. It's like rising and going isn't just something that you like do by yourself. It takes a team to do that. And to hear about your foundation with your family, it sounds like you got some great people in the industry that you're working with now that you trust.
Yes.
That it's helping you take you to the next direction. So I think this is a good segue into you've won some awards recently. You say you're dropping some new music, so it's time for you to brag about all of your music that you've been doing, and tell us about where things have really started to take off.
Sure. So last year, I actually won. I never even thought, but this would happen. But I won a Josie Music Award for best single of the year. So single of the year for country rock, southern rock for my song "Country Girls Do It Better." So I had recorded that early last year, and released it. I think it was like March of last year, and that's my most popular song. And literally, we moved down here in October, and that same weekend that we moved down here, that Saturday or Sunday, were the Josie Music Awards, and I won an award. So I was like, I never even dreamed that would happen. So the Josie Music Awards are the biggest independent music awards for indie artists. So artists that aren't signed by big labels. And then the ISSA Awards, also the same thing that's held in Atlanta, Georgia. I won Silver Entertainer of the Year for this year. So that was pretty big. That's like the award that you want to win when you're a performer. So I won that this year. I never thought I would win that. You're up against a lot of talent, there's a lot of independent artists out there too. So it's a pretty prestigious award, all of them that I've won. This year I'm up for 5 Josie Music Awards, and those are held here in Nashville at the Grand Ole Opry. It's in November, but I'm up for 5. One of them's Album of the Year for my album that I just released in March that I got done when I moved down here. Another Song of the Year for Southern Rock, Country Rock for my song Load My Truck and Leave. So just crazy things happening. And I'm in the process of recording 3 new singles, so hoping to have all those out by the end of the year.
That's so amazing, and that's why I was looking at your website. I was like, "Holy Christ, you have a lot of awards that you've won recently." That's amazing too, because I feel like that's what's building momentum for you and moving you forward. So let's chat about your music, and where do you draw your inspiration from? Do you write your own music? I know you perform all your own music, but tell us more about where you draw your inspiration and what it's like, being in the studio, recording, doing those things. Like, what is that all about?
So early on, so my first EP, I will tell you, I'm very honest and upfront with everybody. I did not write any of those songs that are on my first EP that I released in 2016. I was always really afraid to release my own music because you are your own worst critic. And, early on in your career, a lot of us are very like, worried about what people are going to think, but I've outgrown that. So obviously I've been releasing my own music for a while now. But going in the studio, I'll talk about that a little bit. But now, so I've released, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 singles last year that I wrote. I had some co-writers on them though. And then my album I released in March, which I had co-writers on. And then these 3 songs that I'm getting ready to release that I'm working on in the studio, I wrote those myself. So I'm excited about that. Co-writing is a lot of fun. It's a lot easier to write songs when you have co-writers because there's more ideas going around the table. When you get that many creatives together, it's pretty awesome. But when a song comes to you on your own and you want to just dive in and do it on your own, sometimes that's pretty cool to for that to come to fruition. And I'm really excited about getting back in the studio and getting those finally done. But I don't know, being in the studio is a lot of fun. A lot of artists don't like it. Some artists really love it. They would rather just be performing on stage, but they know that's part of, the music industry is releasing your own music. But I love being in the studio. I love being able to just create and not hold back and be myself. I've had a couple of different producers throughout the years, and this producer that I'm working with right now on 3 of my songs, I'm super excited about. I feel like I can have more creative control over the songs that I wrote. Not that I didn't on all these other songs, but now that, I'm working with this producer, I think it's a good match for what I want to do with these songs. And, I can just really be me. Not that I wasn't in all my other songs, but I feel more comfortable right now being myself in these songs.
Well, and I think that's what really draws, the listeners in. Just so everyone knows, I absolutely love country music. I won't say it's my favorite, but I like EDM is by far my favorite music.
EDM's
But
awesome.
it's the best. It's the
Oh
best.
yeah.
I'm going deaf because all I do is listen to it at full volume at the gym, and so. But it's like I love like the country artists. Like I love Chris Stapleton,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
Eric Church. I feel like Eric Church is a great like country rock, kind of in that same genre as you.
Yep.
Which is funny because I know Eric Church is coming to Minneapolis, or he's actually coming to St. Paul, neighbor city of Minneapolis, in February, and that I'm hopefully getting tickets. That's gonna be like my 3rd time seeing him, and God,
Oh,
he puts on a great concert. That's
I'm
one of the
jealous.
best. But so what are, like you said, like the songs that you won the awards for? What were they called again?
Uh, Country Girls Do It Better. So I wrote that with a guy named Styles. He's also from Ohio originally. He also co-wrote Country On for Luke Bryan. So we wrote this song. So Country Girls Do It Better. We wrote this song in my kitchen in like 2017, but I finally decided I wanted to record it and release it last year. So, but that song, and then Load My Truck and Leave, that song is up for an award for this year. So we'll see if I win the song of the year again, which would be really cool. But I wrote that song with my old guitar player, Caleb Story. He's from Alabama.
Very
So pretty
nice.
cool. Yeah.
So when I think about like the titles of these songs, are like what story are they telling?
So Country Girls Do It Better is a song that is kind of an anthem for all the country girls out there. So, I don't need a man to bait my hook or load my gun. I can do that myself. So it's not necessarily a song that's like, I don't need a man. It's a song about just being an independent woman And, I'm not going to bother him with that kind of stuff if I can do it myself. And I'm a country girl too. Even though I'm from Ohio, there's a lot of country folk in Ohio. I promise you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I grew up.
Don't hate on the Midwest. Right?
I
Don't let
know.
them hate on the Midwest.
I know. I grew up tractor pulling. I tractor pulled till I was like 15, 16. And I rode horses. I had a horse. In fact, I had my horse till I moved down here. So anyway, so that's what that song is. It's totally me. But it's like my anthem for all the country girls out there, all the independent ladies. And then Load My Truck and Leave is a song that it's about Ohio meets Alabama and how, I felt like I belonged in the South, even though I still lived in Ohio, and I was ready to just load all my stuff and just leave, pack it up, and head south. So that's what that song is about.
Well, I don't want to interrupt you here because you're on such a roll, but it's like that reminds me of like, so I'm a baseball player, like played in Iowa, but I was like, I can't stand playing baseball in the Midwest anymore. It's like I want to go south, and we were talking earlier about how like I got introduced to the South by going to Nashville when I was 18. I loved it so much. I ended up going to school for 3 years in Nashville, played down in Houston, and so like the South like holds a very near and dear place in my heart. It's I don't know what it is about me. I just love being home here in the Twin Cities. But every time I get to go to the South, my bachelor party is actually going to be in Nashville, so uh,
Nice.
it'll be one last hurrah in the South, hopefully. But no, that's where I was like, I need to do a better job. I need to listen to all this music, but when I hear you talk about how the South like grab a hold of you like that, oh, that resonates with me so much.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've always wanted to be here in Nashville too. I mean, I've always wanted to be in the South. I've always wanted to live in Tennessee. It's beautiful here. It's so
Really.
pretty. And everybody's so nice. Not that everybody's not nice up north, but let's just be real. Southern people are special. They're awesome.
Well, they call it Minnesota nice. It's like just like a bunch of condescending assholes up here, maybe.
That's Ohio sometimes.
There really is like that southern charm, especially when I was down there. Like I think about Travis Humes as well because like when I moved down when I was 18, like I didn't know anybody. I didn't know
No.
any one of my teammates I was going to play with. I went down there just on a hope and a prayer, and I'll never forget when I first met him. Just like the hospitality that he shared with me. He's like he invited me over his house. Like come stay here. Let's get to know each other. I'll introduce you to my teammates. I'll show you around and it was something that I'll never forget because that's what really made me feel comfortable, made me feel at home. When I'm like, I grew up in Minneapolis and I'm around my friends 24/7. It's like when
Yeah.
you go someplace where you're on your own, it's like, who's going to save me out here? So I remember my first experience just feeling that Southern hospitality, like it is real. Like I believe in it wholeheartedly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And the tea, the sweet tea down here is actually
No,
sweet.
stop it, stop. I had to stop. I was getting fat drinking that stuff.
See, I
It's
don't
just
drink
like
it. I don't eat sugar or drink sugar, so
it is truly amazing because like they soak it in the sun. There's like something about the sun and everything that makes it just. I'll
yeah.
never forget the first time I had it. I'm like, what is this? Because in Minnesota you have iced tea, but you've never had sweet tea. And oh man, my taste buds are ringing now because I like anything for some southern
Some of
sweet
the
tea.
lyrics in my song are I wish that Ohio's tea was sweet.
Yeah,
And it's funny because when my guitar player came up to Ohio for the first time, this is kind of around the time when we started writing this song, he ordered some sweet tea in Ohio,
yeah,
right? And he like takes a sip of it and he almost spit it out. He's like, this ain't sweet tea.
right. Oh man, I can't
No,
even imagine what was
no.
going through his head with that too. Because he's like, what is
Oh,
people?
I think his face was like green because he was like, this is so nasty.
It's just like Lipton, like just teabag. Oh, gross.
Yes.
But no, thinking about like this award talk as well. How has that motivated you or grounded you as you continue to push forward here? Because I know like I gotta imagine some artists like they get some awards, they get a big head, and then it's like they kind of like get out of or get away from like who they are. Share with us like how you're staying grounded and how it's motivating you to keep moving forward.
They definitely motivate me. The awards don't define me. The mission is still the same. it's to uplift people. It's to shine my light, and connect with people. Um, they don't give me a big head. They don't. I'm a pretty humbled person. um, my worth is not those awards, if that makes sense. But that's definitely, they're definitely something that keep me going, that tell me, you're on the right track. You're on the right track. So if that makes sense, any of
Oh,
that.
it definitely does, and it goes back to your story too of the experience of the poor experience that you had when you first got to Tennessee, and like does it reaffirm like you made, like you said, it reaffirms that you're making the right decision, and it's really
Yes.
starting to pay off for you. Now, as like you move forward, you said you're recording some new music. Let's talk about like your goals and ambitions as you move forward. Yeah, just dive right into it. I'm curious myself.
Sure. you know, that's always the question that I get. Like, what are your goals? What are your big ambitions? My goal is to just, leave a legacy for my kids, and show other people that, you can chase your dreams. It doesn't matter how old you are. Never stop chasing them. Um, my goal is yeah, shine my light, and inspire other people to do the same, and just being authentic, showing up as myself for everyone, and inspiring people to do the same. I know that doesn't sound like a huge goal, but to me that is. You know, if I have a huge tour, awesome. Of course, that's a goal, is to have a bigger tour than I have had in the past. Maybe get a publishing deal, things like that. But if that doesn't ever happen, I'm okay with that. My main goal is to shine my light with the world, be a positive impact for other people, and leave a legacy.
That's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all there is to it,
Yeah.
It's funny. Some people ask me, like, "What are your goals for Elevon?" And like, I still struggle to try and figure it out. But at the end of the day, it's like I want like the mission, our motto. Like, I just want to help people, and I think
Yeah.
that's the most important thing is like if it's grounded in helping people or leaving a legacy and sharing your voice. I think those are some of the most important things that you can do.
That's
And
right.
that's one of the things that just keeps me going is the person who ultimately represents the brand. It's like I've had to change my whole life around in order to be the authentic leader of this brand. And I think that's what's so important. That's why I love meeting with people, because I think when I hear other people's stories, it continues to motivate me. And that's why I always ask like what keeps you going, and like hearing your challenges and understanding the same challenges that I've been through. I believe anything is possible from there. And it's like, I truthfully believe people can change. You just
Yes.
have to have a plan. You have to like, maybe not a plan, but you have to like know what the right direction is for you. And that's why I love hearing about, you just like, hey, like this is happening. I'm moving to Nashville. I'm going to make this happen. And, it's like, if you look back, you would have done the same thing again. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't ever want to question, I didn't ever want to look back and question, what would have it been like? Like,
Oh, man, that
you
makes
have
my
to
skin
put,
crawl.
you have, yes, you have to do it scared. You
Mm-hmm.
have to, you
I know
know,
there's always a great quote. It's like, do it scared, do it tired, do it happy, do it sad. It's
look at
like,
these bags under my eyes. I'm exhausted.
I know. I was thinking about that today because I went to the gym, and then all right, I gotta get prepared for this. Thankfully, last night, so like in this like setup I have, I actually take this all down because my fiance will probably murder me if I have to look here. But um, and that's one of the things where it's like, I do have a full time job. I'm very active in the gym. I coach baseball. I run Elevant. It's like some days there's not enough hours in the day, and like I feel like I'm losing myself. But at the same time, it's
But
like
you're
I
not.
wake up and it's like it's a new challenge every day, and like that's
Yeah.
what I truthfully love about it. Is like it's like you said you wanted a full plate, now your plate's full. Why are you complaining? Get
Go
out
for
there.
what you ask for.
Yeah, exactly. So another thing I'm very curious about is as far as like your music, do you have a team around you?
I have a small team, yes. I have a manager now, and I just signed on with a booking agency here in Nashville, which is pretty awesome. Gravel Road Music, they're great.
Mhm.
I'm on all sorts of different rosters for booking, but this is a good one. So I'm excited about that. I have a stylist, so a celebrity stylist that styles me for all of my shows and gigs and things like that, any red carpet appearances. I do all my own marketing. I have a little bit of help here and there with my own marketing, though, from another person. So I have a small team around me, yes. I did it myself for years and years and years, but you can't do it yourself. It takes a village. It really does. So I'm definitely lucky to have some pretty amazing people in my life who have been just there for me throughout this and, who do a lot for me so that
Yeah.
I can do what I do.
Well, that's amazing too, because this is something I asked Brett too last week. I'm like, tell me about like the team around you, and that's where I think it's so important to have those people that are in there with you, because
Yeah.
you can't do anything on your own, or anything that is worth doing something you shouldn't do on your own. But that's so cool that as you've kind of developed these better relationships in the industry, like this is what's continuing to elevate you on the scene. So one thing I'm actually curious about here is like, all right, so it's like day of the show. All right, you wake up. Give us the play-by-play from like when you wake up to like getting ready to the show, for the show, after the show. What does that look like?
A lot of praying.
I bet. I bet.
But for real, yeah. I mean, before I get out of bed, I'm praying about it. I'm putting it in God's hands, and I then I practice a couple times throughout the day. I'm like looking at my set list, making sure, okay, is this really what I want to do? Usually, I have it already. If we've already practiced as a band or whatever, even if it's a solo gig, I've already practiced and I've put those songs in order. But sometimes I might feel like, hey, I need to move this around. So I'm looking at all my songs and how the show is going to flow. I'm mapping out the trip again. So I'm just double and triple checking everything, but I try to relax as much as I can though. And I don't talk that much, and I try not to sing too much, but I'll go over some songs maybe I'm not like 1,000% great on. But that's pretty much it, and a lot of prayer.
Yeah. So what are some of like the best or your favorite venues that you've performed at?
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
I
There's
was
so
gonna say,
many.
it's probably a pretty broad question, but there's got to be some that stick out.
There are, and I bring this one up a lot, and it was one of the biggest shows of my career. But last year, playing Country Fest in Wisconsin, in Cadott, Wisconsin, which is now they call it Hoofbeat. They changed it this year, but
Did they?
they
My
did.
fiance from Wisconsin. I know a lot of people that go to Country Fest. I myself,
Yes.
but I have to go sometime soon.
Yeah. So this was like, it was just such a magical day. I mean, I had to do 6 sets throughout the whole entire day. I was on a side stage, but I was on the same bill as Keith Urban, Dina Carter, Warren Zeters, and Cooper Allen, and it was awesome. But the venue was just great. It was just such a magical time. It really was. It was probably one of my favorite shows um, of my entire career, I think. It was just magical.
What was so magical about it? I know it's like a huge festival, but like what makes it really stick out?
Just the fan interactions. Just looking out in the audience and seeing, there were a couple people who knew some of my songs, and I was like, how do these people know my songs? So I mean that is so awesome. So just being able to connect with people in that way, it was just magical, and I think that's the best show that we've played, really.
Yeah.
And I met a lot of really cool people that night. My stylist I met that night too. Actually, she came up. I always do a meet and greet after all of my shows, so I can talk to everybody. I try to stay as late as I can to talk to everyone. Um, and she came up to me and she said, I don't want a picture with you. I want to dress you. And I was like, huh? Like, oh, I'm a celebrity stylist.
Oh yeah, that's
So
funny.
I met her, and now she's on my team, and now she's actually one of my best friends. So, just a lot of the people that I met. My brother-in-law for as long as I've been doing music, he and my sister-in-law were there because they live in Wisconsin. And it was the first time he had ever seen me play, and other than videos. And, his face was just melted, and he was just like, I have a whole nother respect for you, level of respect.
That's
So
so
it was, the memories were great. So.
Well, now I just have to go to Country Fest because it's something I
It's
really want. It looks like so much fun.
Wisconsin people are great.
Yeah, my fiance is actually from small town Wisconsin, so
I love it.
she'll be happy to hear that. I always hated Wisconsin. I'm a Minnesota City boy. I'm a Vikings fan, as you can probably see over here. She's a Packers fan. Our dog's name is Lambo. So
my husband's a Packers fan.
Oh no, I was just starting to be so happy with your family. Now I gotta hear that. That's too bad. But
and a Browns fan.
Well, that's good. He's got a really good franchise and a really shitty franchise that he chooses from. That's totally fair.
There we go.
Well, you had mentioned that you have some tours coming up, or am I hearing that wrong?
We're in the process of planning a 2026 tour. So I have a couple shows left this year, a couple writers rounds, a couple showcases. I'm taking December off. I'm going to try to not do any shows in December.
Yeah.
I need a little time.
Yeah, right. Do you have any idea of like where your tour is going to take you? I'm just curious.
We're hoping in the South to start. I probably won't do a Northern tour until probably later next year. So the South, so Arizona, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama. I'm trying to remember all the states. Louisiana, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida. So kind of those southern states.
And like, as far as tours, like that's got to be a lot of work. Like, how do you keep your sanity when you're on the road that much?
I'm going to be really nice here, but like, as the lead singer, as the actual like artist, the name, that's out there, I'm the one who's supposed to be the diva, but I'm not. It's like taking care of a bunch of children sometimes. So I love all of my musicians that play for me, love them all. They're all great, but they're all so needy. And the mother in me I'm always just taking care of them. And I think that helps me keep my sanity though. So even though they're all a little crazy, it helps me keep my sanity because I'm, taking care of them.
Well, it's like you hear all these stories about like, crazy things that happen on tour buses and things like that. So I was just like, out of curiosity, like I even think about like whenever I travel, it's like when I'm gone for like more than 2 days, I'm like, all right, I need to go home. Like this is I'm over it. I'm done. But no, I think this has been really great. I appreciate you sharing your story and introducing us to your music and just sharing your rise and go story. So before we jump off here, like what is like your like final message to our listeners, and then where can they find your music and website and everything like that?
Final message would be: don't ever give up on a dream, ever, keep going, no matter how hard it gets. Yeah, maybe take a breather here and there, but don't ever give up. If it is your purpose in life, keep going. So,
love it.
And you can find my music on all streaming platforms. So, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Pandora, all of it.
Apple Music, I'm assuming too. Yep. Cool. And then all of your social media again.
All my social media. So if you go on to Facebook, it's Erin Stoll Music, Erin Stoll Music on TikTok, Erin Stoll Official on Instagram, and my website is erinstoll.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been absolutely amazing. I really look forward. I can't wait to see what's coming next, and hopefully in the near future we'll be able to catch a show.
For sure. Thanks for having me. This was a blast.